Welcome back to ESPN Las Vegas, Cofield and Company, and I'm joined by Aljamain Sterling, the former UFC bantamweight champion. He's going to be making his UFC featherweight debut at UFC 300. Man, how does that feel? Do you feel a little bit lighter? How's the weight cut going now that you're going to be up 10 pounds in a new division?
Well, I don't feel lighter. I feel heavier. But it's nice. It's a nice change up of things, and I think it's more fitting for my body, my physique right now, where I'm at in my career. I'm older now. The weight cut's a bit harder. I'm a bit heavier. Um, but I think it's just the right move, the right time, and everything seems to be falling into place.
Yeah, let me rephrase that. I said lighter, but I mean, does your body feel more comfortable, more natural, where you don't feel
Nah, I
like
know.
the
I'll break
that
your bones.
grueling
No, I
experience
know.
of cutting to 135?
Yeah, I know what you meant. No,
Yeah.
definitely, for sure. It's a much easier fight week in the sense of how much weight I have to cut and pull. I'm still super lean though, so it's always tough. I'm sure it's tough for everybody though, right? So, um, getting down from 170 plus pounds is not the easiest, but it's definitely more enjoyable than it was at bantamweight.
And then your opponent, Calvin Cater. What was the process for getting this fight made? We all knew that you wanted to move up to 145. Did you just take the first name that the UFC threw at you?
No, they offered me four names, and I decided to go with the highest ranked one, which was Calvin Cater. I looked up his resume, try to remember what were the last few things he's done, because it's a new division. I haven't really paid attention to it as much as I do at bantamweight, and I saw that he was out for a bit. And I was like, okay, I'm going to be out for a bit, so this just makes sense. Both of us come back around the same time, and just see what's up. And he was the highest ranked guy, so I'm not looking to fight backwards right now. We'll see how this fight goes on Saturday, and then from there kind of figure it out on what's the next steps.
And then on Saturday, with this being that debut at 145, has anything been different about this training camp, or is there something more about your game that you can implement now that you have a, let's say, a more natural cut?
More energy, man. I think that's really what it comes down to. Just have way more energy than I have shown in my last few fights. Yeah, of course they were 5 round fights, but I've been saying this since 2019. The fight with Jimmy Rivera and Pedro Munoz, especially the Pedro Munoz fight, I felt like I slowed down a lot sooner than I normally would in the room. And I was kind of confused by that. I'm like, yeah, it was a crazy output, but at the same time, like, man, I was doing this the whole camp, but I'm starting to noticeably feel more tired. I'm noticeably seeing my weight going up a bit higher each time I make 135 after fight week is over. So it was just good timing with everything. It just made sense. And that's the biggest change that I could speak on. I'm way more tolerable fight week than I would have been at a bantamweight.
Again, we're talking to Aljamain Sterling here on Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas. I want to ask you about the significance of being on this card, UFC 300. Well, was this one of the cards when you're talking about when you're going to make your 145 debut that you said, "Hey, I would love to be on this card" when talking to the UFC?
Yeah, it was between this one or Miami. Miami would have been cool just because who doesn't want to fight in Miami, right? But this is a cool one in terms of significance, name value, how many eyeballs are going to be on this, the exposure. So if I go out there and do what I'm supposed to do, I think it just opens up a lot of doors, a lot of opportunities for myself. And that's what it's all about, right? Just creating more opportunities with this sport, more longevity, and hopefully fighting for another title with a big win if I could get past Calvin Cater.
You mentioned fighting for a title. How many wins do you think you would need to get in this division to get that title shot?
One or two. I think if I can get a finish here, I could possibly just skip the line, or I might need to have one more after. And if I look good in that, I could think I for sure could skip the line. So it just really depends. We don't really know when Ilya is going to come back to fight yet. I know they're planning to do his first defense in Spain against who nobody knows, and I think that just leaves an opportunity for the division to kind of shake out and figure itself out.
Also, I wanna give you your props a little bit. You said skip the line. If you get two top 10 wins in the division, you're not skipping the line. You would have earned a title shot by that point. So
Yeah.
I'm just saying, yeah, don't sell yourself too short there. But I do want to ask you about 135 in that division. Marab Davashvili, your teammate. How do you see that fight going if we ever see that fight with him and Sean O'Malley for the title at 135?
Well, I can see O'Malley trying to use a lot of footwork like he did in our fight. I mean, he uses it in all his fights, right? He's a good fighter. He's smart. He doesn't take a lot of damage. He's long. He's rangy, and I can see him trying to stay long with the kicks, use a lot of his feints. But that comes with the cost of energy expenditure. So I think I could see Marab getting to him in that second or third round where O'Malley would start to show signs of slowing down. And I think that's where Marab would start to take over.
When it comes to that pace that Marab has, and I know that you guys are good training partners, how does that help feel you when it comes to, hey, since I'm training with the best, I know that sometimes a fighter say, hey, the fight is easy because of how hard the camp was, or
Yeah,
how
for
hard the camp
sure.
was.
That's always been my thing with Marab getting ready for the bantamweights. It was just gas tank cardio for days to go with a guy like that, energize the bunny. You know he's not going to stop with the pressure constantly coming forward, and he's just going to be in your face pressing the whole time. So you get a guy like that, it makes for a good training session. It gives you a lot of confidence going into the fight with your cardio and things like that. So he's always a good piece of the puzzle to have in training camp.
And I know that you can't look too far past Saturday, but if you were to get this win and the title shot isn't in the cards, who would that next fight be at 145 in your opinion?
Honestly, I don't really know. I know Ortega just had a really good win. Osar Evloev just beat Arnold Allen. Um, I don't know. It just really depends. Wait, did they fight? Yeah, they did fight Arnold Allen and Mosar. So it just really depends what the UFC decides to do. And it depends on how I go through my fight, right? So I'm just waiting to see how everything shakes out. I don't really like to. I'm very confident, but at the same time, um, the UFC is gonna do what the UFC does. So we'll see.
Yeah, you said the UFC is going to do what the UFC does. Was there ever any thought in your mind that, hey, why isn't the UFC offering me a rematch? Or did you know that, hey, after I lost that fight, I want to move up to 145? Or was it just a mutual decision?
No, I wanted the rematch. I asked for the rematch. I was told no. And I already knew they were going to say no. I was like, let me just ask anyway, just for shits and giggles. So I can at least say, well, I did ask. But I already knew they were going to say no. And then once they said no, I was like, yep, I'm going to 45. I'm not sticking around to fight nobody else at 35. Like, it's just no point. I was planning to go up with a win, and I was going to stay there, win or lose if I fought Volkanovski. And things didn't go my way, but here I am now, and I get an opportunity to do things the way I want to do it, right? So write my own story, and a big win over Calvin Cater is gonna help me write that story a little bit better.
All right, I only got a couple more questions for you. I got to ask you, when's the next single dropping?
Saturday, I got a little collage mix. Dropout Kings and my brother again, and some other kid named Alex. So it's like five vocalists on it, but it actually sounded pretty good. I was pleasantly surprised with how it came out. I was kind of iffy. I was like, "Yo, this shit come out trash. I'm going back to something else because you ain't about to have me walk out to no trash for 300. That's just crazy."
Oh, it's the
But it
walkout
did.
song.
It's the walkout song. Yeah, it's pretty fire. It's gonna drop Friday. I told him we should have dropped it today, but it's gonna drop tomorrow. So everyone's gonna be able to check it out. I actually posted a video on my social with me with my verse, and there was a lot of good feedback. People actually were feeling it. I was like, okay, good. This is what I want. I wanted some good vibes, so I was happy about that.
Oh man, I can't wait for. So it's dropping tomorrow, okay, and then it's gonna be the walkout song on Saturday. Now I'm excited when I'm in the arena. I want to, I'm gonna be looking at some other members of the media and be like, "Hey, you don't know that's the new Aljo, right? You don't know that. He told me that.
Yeah,
You ain't got the
yeah.
exclusive like I got."
Thanks, thanks.
All right, man. Well, thank you for joining us here on ESPN Las Vegas, man, and good luck on Saturday.